Alright, I've downloaded the Excel file that you had sent. I then converted that to a CSV file. We could open this up in Notepad just so you could see that it is the data that you sent. The only thing that I did change is the name of the door, just to match up to what we already have in the Just Door software. I'm just going to make a copy of that line just to show that we could change sizes right here. Go File, Save. Then coming to Just Doors, then going to go to File, Import CSV, selecting that CSV file, selecting Open. Those doors and profiles have just been imported along with the quantities. Once they're imported, we'll go ahead and calculate nest. The nesting has begun, and once it is completed, we can come over and take a look at what it has created for us. In the top right here, we have the features that we're going to be used for machining. Notice that the edge is unchecked. That would be used for, say, a flip operation or operations that need to be done on the opposite side. We have a rabbet, geometry for a rabbet. Notice when we select any one of these features, they become selected, so we know what we are going to be creating the toolpath with. We then have a perimeter cut and an inside cut. Setting up for the rabbet, I'm going to set the option here and selecting it. We can see they are selected, and then coming around and just entering in the geometry of the bit being used, feed rates, plunge rates, and all of the standard items that you would need to set up for a cut. We're going to be cutting on the inside, and we have this saved as a template. I'm going to have already done the same thing for perimeter cut. I've chosen to cut onto the outside, and then also for the inside cut. So the next step is just clicking the Save Toolpaths button. I'm going to save this into the same downloads folder as the CSV, give it a name of test, and I'm going to go ahead and click Save Toolpaths. This is going to give us one nested G-code for each sheet. So the one thing I did not point out is this first sheet is giving us the frames needed. Then we have a second sheet that is half-inch MDF. These are the insert panels used. So we'll come back to Part Nester, but first let's take a look at what files we have created. There is the test folder. Inside of this folder we have our sheet 1, which is the 3/4, sheet 2, which is the 1/2 inch. We also are able to create labels. So let's come back over into Part Nester. I'm going to clear out the toolpaths. The toolpaths are what is shown with the orange dotted line. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit clear and show a little bit about the depths that we have entered in here, know how it knew how deep to cut. So when we select on each one of the doors, all of the geometry associated with that door becomes selected. If I want to edit anything about this one door, we can come over here and hit Edit Part. So now when we click on any one part, that part does not get highlighted, but the information in the top right on the Info tab does update and change. So if we select on any one of these geometries, we're able to change the points, and we also are able to see when we select that over here in the bounding size, we can see that the Z value is a -3/4, which is the total thickness of the material, so it is going to be cutting all the way through. This is the rabbet cut, and that depth is going down to a depth of 1/2 inch. We have the perimeter cut, which is the next one in, and that is being cut down to a -3/4 inch. For the edge profile or for the mirrored images, this is one thing that we would have to work on in the post processor to allow for that flip operation. But the idea that we would go through first is set up a trim pass. We're able to set that up into Tools Settings. And setting the option here for waste, we could draw in scrap and also trim the sheets. So once we go ahead and save that, we'll go ahead and click Renest. We now will have a couple extra features in our list. One is for the trim and one is for the waste. So we now have a green dotted line around the entire sheet that is representing the trim cut that we would then select to cut on the outside. Then the waste, there is no waste on this sheet, but if we look over on the second sheet, we have a couple rectangles there that are drawn in that are being set aside or being seen as waste based on the square footage for the waste that we wanted to say that we were going to save. So anyway, this is the basics of how you would go about importing a CSV file. We certainly would have a little bit of work to do to be able to change the width and thicknesses of the styles. It could certainly be done. Just take a little bit of time and working with you to get that done. Anyway, tell me what you think.